we're reaching lots of folks. It's hard to believe that sometimes, that this small gathering of people is actually reaching people all over the world on the internet. And it's hard to believe. It's hard for me to believe we're on TV in about 200 different towns and cities. And we got a list of them back there on the board. We're on in Seattle, St. Paul, Minnesota, Watertown, Michigan. I don't know if we're on Grand Rapids or not.
Yes.
Huh?
Yes.
Are we on Grand Rapids? Anybody else in Michigan? Milwaukee, Wisconsin. We're on in Detroit,
Waterford,
Michigan. Going on in Cleveland, Ohio, and Dayton, Ohio. We've been on Cincinnati. We went off because they shut down the public access station. And we're on in Brooklyn, Queens, Staten Island, Manhattan, the Bronx, all 5 boroughs in New York City, Washington, D.C., Atlanta, Miami. Oh, before I forget, Alaska, Anchorage, Hawaii. We're on in Louisiana, all over southern Louisiana. Lafayette, they call it Lafayette down there. And Bogalusa, I guess. And Baton Rouge, Lafayette, and one other, I can't remember. Oh, New Orleans, of course. And Dallas, Fort Worth, Houston, Beaumont, San Antonio. We went off on Austin and Waco. We was paying out about $800 a month for both of those, and we wasn't getting any response, so we just went off. We can go back on if we want to. Then we're on in Tulsa and Oklahoma City and Tucson, Roanoke, Virginia, Sioux City, Iowa, Sioux Falls, South Dakota, Omaha, Nebraska, a bunch of places. Council Bluffs, Iowa, just a bunch of places. And I can't remember all of them. That's not all of them. But anyway, we get letters, we get calls. People say, how did you do that? They don't even believe we're on. We started off with one public access station in Nashville. We get a little more attention from that. Then we started on another access station here. Public access is free. But you have to have cameras. You have to have mixers. So the way we started on that, a couple was coming here, and their company was updating all their equipment, and they gave us what would have been $50,000 worth of equipment, and it's old-fashioned stuff now. It's old tube cameras, and what we wouldn't even use now, the equipment. But that got us started. We actually started when Glenn started filming us with his little home camera over there at my house. Said, can I bring a camera? I said, yeah. I said, after the first week, he said, can I drill a hole in your floor and put a little post up, put it on? I said, yeah. Do what you want to do. Well, we did that. And then Glenn got us on about 7 television public access stations. Then after we went on about 7 free stations and we had the camera, all we had to do is give away this thing is built. It's what's happened to it. It's built up. Started with free stations and some free cameras and equipment. And one time Glenn came to me and he said, we need to buy a better camera than his little camera about like this, cheap little camera out of the 1990s. And I said, well, can you find one? He said, I found one up in Kentucky. It was $250. And I said, man, I don't think we can afford that. And, of course, these cameras today cost a whole lot more than that. And so we got that and started filming some more. And it was an old tube camera. And it finally went out and we had to buy another one. And then we moved up. Then we started going on lease access stations. Lease access costs money. But some of them are pretty cheap. We're on in Fort Worth for $20 an hour. Some of them $45 an hour, some $65 an hour, some is $120 an hour. And we built up a little at a time. Now we're paying about $10,000 a month TV time for the lease access stations. I hope we get to, I don't mind paying that, but as long as the money comes in. And the money comes in mostly from the stations where we're on. That's where the money comes from. And I'd like to be paying out $100,000 a month TV time. That means we'd be on 500 stations or 800. Don't care how many stations we're on, how much we pay out, as long as it comes in. So that's how this got started, just a little at a time. And I didn't try to do nothing. I've never tried to build a ministry. I just preached. Glenn comes in and says, can I film it? Yeah, go ahead. And then he came to me one day and he said, Jim, I think that I can get this on public access. And I said, what's that? I didn't know what it was. And he kept telling me to watch them. And I waited about 6 months and I sat down and watched one of the tapes one time. I said, those really come out good, Glenn. He said, I've been trying to tell you that. I wasn't paying attention, just teaching. But that's how we started. Built a little, until we're and Dave and Judy, they stay on the phone all the time to these stations. Dave's full-time with the ministry. Judy's is volunteer, and they stay on the phone to these stations trying to get us on public access and cheap lease access. Cheap to me is like $50 an hour, and we can get on 2 or 3 hours a week, one lease access station. But the way this has come about, it's built up very slowly, very slow. I didn't know I've ever said and told you that, but this is the way we've ended up on 200 towns and cities. Most of it, or half of it at least, is free TV, but you got to have all the equipment. You got to have $35,000, $40,000 worth of equipment, and then you have to have somebody on the phone all the time calling them. And that would cost $25,000 or $30,000 a year. So you don't get into it easy. And lease access and public access is like the gates of the city. I used to pray, Lord, where's the gates of the city? You told Jeremiah, go to preach in the gates of the city and preach in the gates of the temple. I don't know where they are, Lord. Well, it would be a waste of time for some guy at a Baptist church to go on lease access. They can go down the street to a Baptist church and be bored out of their mind. And you can go on Sunday morning or Sunday evening or any night during the week and watch some local guy preaching free will. But you can get that anywhere. But people are looking on lease access and public access. They're looking for somebody that's crazy like me. That's what they're doing. That's what the elect are doing. They're looking. And so I believe that lease access and public access is the gates of the city. And this wouldn't work preaching free will. There's too much free will everywhere. Nobody's going to support some free will guy when they got it all over America. So I hope you can see what we've been working on, getting this thing working. And it's not something I did. I didn't even start a ministry. I started a Bible class in my house to keep the preachers from polluting my wife. And that's kind of the way we've grown. It's been very slow, slow growth. Dave has checked. If we can increase our income $7,500 a month, and that could happen in the next year or so. It would cost us $7,500 every month. We're paying $10,000 a month for our TV right now. If we can get $7,500 more a month, where it's not going to bother us, then we could go on direct TV, and that would be in every household in America that has direct TV. That would be every household. So that would be all over America. But we have to keep on with what we've got. This is kind of like our insurance. And we've proven this. We're not going to go off public access and lease access just to go on direct, because we don't know if they'd up the rates or what they'd do. So, but anyway, that's how we've built to where we are, and may have a few people on Sunday night, but we're reaching out to the world on this camera right now because we are streaming all over the world right now. Every Sunday morning, Sunday night, Wednesday night. Besides that, we're streaming 24 hours a day. Mike is playing my messages, switching them out all day long, every day. So that's a little bit about our history and how this works. Y'all see that? And so when people come in and say, I just don't believe this little group's on all this TV, well, it is. But we built very slowly. And you're never going to get a lot of people in any one given area to come hear this truth. The people that are with Grace and Truth here, they come from Chapel Hill. Jim and Jean drive 130 miles two ways just to come to church. Mike and Denise drive 50 miles one way up into Kentucky to come on Sunday morning. So, and we got other people that drive a distance. So anyway, I thought maybe y'all might be interested in knowing how this got started, how it's built to this. And it don't matter, we got a few people here. This message will go out all over America. It's going out right now. It'll go to TV stations all over America. And it will be in the hands of all the people that get our DVDs, free of charge. Don't charge anybody for anything. So that's the story of how we started this and how it's building. Whenever we get extra money, we put it in the building fund, or if we get enough going and we get some good stations and I feel like it's really profitable, I'll say, let's go on in Detroit. Detroit's a minority town. Minorities is what we want. Jesus came to the poor, to the brokenhearted, the bruised, the crushed. That's not middle-class white America. Minorities is what I believe will hear. And that's what we get, little black ladies out of New York, little Asian ladies, even Muslims called out of New York City. And so I just thought y'all might be interested in knowing how this is working. We are reaching lots of folks. So when you support the ministry, you're supporting...
Something, Jim. I don't think you saw it.
Oh, I'll get it. No, that's probably some phone numbers. Let me see here. Well, let me read to you a couple of letters that we've gotten. Got a letter from Anthony Nelson. He's a very faithful supporter. He's up in Washington, D.C. We're on TV there, and he watches us in Washington, D.C. He says, are there any assembly for fellowship in Washington, D.C.? We're on D.C., and we're not even a regular time, and we get calls from there all the time. That is a minority town. And that's where I like to be on more than anywhere else.
There's a lot of people with a lot of extra free time right now.
Huh?
I said there's a lot of people with a lot of free time.
That's right. They sure is, aren't they? Since the United States of America has shut down. That's what Mary thought was going to happen. She thought, they're going to shut down the America. I said, no. The senators and the congressmen are going to go home since they're at a stalemate with each other and they can't get bills passed, and the Republicans are trying to stop Obamacare, and I don't care.
No, Jim Cooper tried to pass that through, but they wouldn't.
I think it's real dumb to charge people that don't have the money for insurance, charge them $600 each year, starting with the tax next year, $600 if you don't have insurance. That's dumb. That doesn't make it where you can afford it just because you charge $600. All right, we got a letter here from the Elmores, Janet Elmore out in Oklahoma City. Grace and Truth Ministries, encloses my tithe. Sorry it is late. Thank you for telling the truth about God's Word, and thereby about God. Dynamics in my relationships are starting to change with God's grace and strength. I will strive to serve God as God instead of holding my relationships foremost. I'm going to preach about that tonight. Thanks again for the work you do, and praise to God for His mercy. This is from Janet Elmore out in Oak City. All right. And Charles Sims writes to us from La Habra, California. I haven't read this, have I? Let me see what he's got to say here. All right. He watches us. We're in San Bernardino. We're in several of those towns out there. I think we're in Modesto. I don't know. He just sent me some. Oh, here's the letter. He says, Pastor Jim, the picture of my 18-year-old son watching your website fills me with joy. That's him. He's watching me there on the TV. Fills me with joy. The picture of a local church selling pumpkins speaks for itself. Well, we got a Methodist church up here sells pumpkins on their lot out there at the corner of Indian Lake and Gallatin Road. But they teach line dancing up there, you know. Do you know what line dancing is? That's kicking, and so you can go down at the Starlight Club and dance with somebody's wife down there. Huh? I can't hear you.
Cornerstone Church does that too.
That's idiocy. The place you line dance is one of these bars down on Dickerson Road. Would you fill in the Greek word? All right. Thank you for making the Word of God so enjoyable. Watch your DVDs when I get and before I go to bed. Love you guys, Charlie. And he sent some picture of some church selling pumpkins. Got all their stuff up here. Do I expect them to do that? Yes. Does the Methodist Church upset me when they sell pumpkins? No, there's no truth there. Anyway, that's not church, and that's not a preacher. That's just a social club. That's what it is. They believe if you do real good, you get to go to heaven. The reason I know that, we were Methodist when I was a little boy, and my mama would tell me, Jimmy, if every time you do something good, Jesus puts a white mark on your heart. And when you do something bad, he puts a black mark. And when you die, if you have more white marks than black marks, what are you doing? You're really disrupting me. What? Well, don't make such a to-do of something. I'm reading. Say, excuse me. This is from Robbie and Elizabeth Davies, Cedar Park, Texas. Hello, Brother Jim. Thanks so much for digging for the truth. I love listening to all your teaching. Here's some of God's money. Agape, Rob Daniel, Cedar Park, Texas. We love you guys. And Carolyn Colligan, our lady out in Tulsa, Oklahoma. She gets a little frustrated at times, but we love you, girl. She says, with appreciation for our pastor and wife. Thank you so much. We got so many people giving me a hard time. I need a few words of encouragement. You have servants' hearts, a strong love for the Lord, and set an authentic example through your walk of faith. So thankful for the wonderful impact you're making in our church and for all the ways the Lord will continue to use you. Agape always, Carolyn, and sorry for the cross. Hard to find without cross. There's a cross right there. Because we don't. The cross is the curse tree. It's the sign of Tammuz in the ancient world. And did you know that in the 40s, when I was a little boy, anybody that wore any kind of a cross was considered Roman Catholic? The crucifix, which is the cross with Christ on it, we know as Roman Catholic now, but even in the 40s, if you wore a cross of any kind, you were considered a Catholic. Huh? Well, you remember when we were kids? Me and you were kids at the same time, weren't we? And it was considered Roman Catholic. Got a letter from Martha Bruggerman. Dear sweet lady, me and Mary talked to her this past week. She's in College Station, Texas. Hi to all. Just a note to say hi. Jim and Mary, I wanted to tell you how much I enjoyed being able to visit with my brother and sister in Christ the other evening. You both mean so much to me. You mean so much to us too, Martha. You are precious friends and are always in my thoughts and prayers. Be of good cheer. The Lord will be taking us soon. Oh, happy day. I wanted to mention that the last couple of weeks, Ustream has been out of focus. You know what that is, Mike?
Yes.
Is that going to get fixed? Okay. When the commercials interrupt, they are perfectly clear. I don't know what the problem might be, but it just started around September 15th. Hope everyone is doing okay. Thanks for all you do. Agape Martha. Martha, we love you. You are a dear sister. Love you very much. And then, I meant to read this morning. Dave gave me this. Dave used to be in heavy metal music. And this is a heavy, I read it and I thought, who wrote this? He said it was written by Mike Muir, who was with some Slayer or something like that, some heavy metal group. I liked it. Welcome to the Church of Mankind. This is Ode to a False Teacher. He said this is a rock song. We'll have a sermon and wonderful recital, but before we go on, there's something I must mention. An important message I must bring to your attention. I was in meditation and prayer last night when I was awakened by a shiny bright light. Overhead, a glorious spirit. He gave me a message, and you all need to hear it. Send me your money. That's what he said. He said, send me your money. This is in a song, a heavy metal song. Now, if you can send only $1 or $2, there isn't a lot I can promise to you. But if you want to see heaven's door, make out a check for $500 or more. Send me your money. Do you hear what I said? Send me your money. I can just hear him. Send me your money! You know. Now, let's have some silence for all those sinners. Now, take it on home, Brother Clark. Send me your money. Here comes another con hiding behind his collar. His only God is the almighty dollar. He's not no prophet. He ain't no healer. He's just a two-bit blasphemous money stealer. He sounds like he's preaching. He sounds like he's been preaching here, doesn't he? This is a heavy metal song. Send me your money. Now, how much you give is your own choice, but to me it's the difference between a Porsche and a Rolls Royce. I want you to make it hurt when you dig in your pockets because it makes me feel so good to watch your profits rocket. Send me your money. Now dig in deep into your pocket. We'll take cash, we'll take checks, we'll take credit cards, we'll take jewelry, we'll take your mother's teeth if there's gold in them. Who's going to be the king of fakers? Who's going to take the place of Jim and Tammy Faye Baker? See my mother? She didn't raise no fool because you can't put a price on miracle. M-I-R-A-C-O-O-L. Miracle. Amen. Mike Muir. That's a heavy metal song. Well, that's why they don't like preachers. Dave said the heavy metalers hate preachers. Well, I told him, tell him I do too. And call your friends in the heavy metal field and tell them you got a preacher that hates preachers worse than you do because he knows where they're lying. And he said he's sent some DVDs to some of them, and every once in a while he'll talk to one of them. I told him to call him and invite him to his wedding because he was their trainer when he was on the road with them. He was a boxing trainer for him, and he was a heavy metal DJ. You do know what heavy metal is, don't you, B? It's real heavy iron bar. It's a railroad spike or rail. Anyway, thought might be interested in that. In fact, speaking of music, James Taylor called us from Tucson, Arizona. I don't think that's the other one. Clarice Brown called from Washington, D.C. Jane Huffman called from Anchorage, Alaska. And Brother Farley called from Chicago, Illinois. All right. That'll be enough. Remember our announcements. TV and radio every Saturday morning. Remember our needy people. We've got people that struggle just to live. If you want to give to our needy people, we got some ladies that are just having a hard time living. You want to help them? Send a check to Grace and Truth Ministries. Make it out to Grace and Truth. Some people have struggled whether they want to give money to this ministry or not. You don't have to struggle. 100% of what you give to the needy goes to them. 100%. Not one nickel goes into our regular fund. And or you can send a gift card. Our picnic, not picnic, our chili cookout. Going to have chili of all kinds and whatever you want to bring right down the street here. Rockland Recreation Center on the lake. It may be cool. I hope it starts getting cool. I like to eat chili in the cold. We'll have fires down there and desserts and whatever. That'll be the 26th at Rockland Recreation Center, right down Rockland Road, right around the corner here. And if you don't know how to get to Rockland Recreation Center, the police department's right across the street. They can all tell you where it is. Right? Is that funny?
Yeah.
Okay. I think they would know, wouldn't they? All right. Well, let's go to the Lord in prayer.